JoyNews is receiving details of why a member of parliament is asking the Supreme Court to revoke the appointment of the newly appointed member of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Peter Appiahene, outlying member of parliament, who's also serving on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress. Roxanne Nelson Appiahene is asking the former lecturer and accusing him of having some affiliations with the governing party, which is the New Patriotic Party, contrary to law. And according to Ghana's constitution, of course, the dictate is that to be a member of the EC, you do not have to have any sort of affiliation to any political party openly or identify with a registered political party in Ghana. Legal Affairs correspondent Joseph Agable is joining us with more. But first, though, this concern was raised by the NDC a couple of months ago.
President Nana Akufo-Addo swore in the 3 new commissioners of the Electoral Commission on March 20, 2023. Dr. Peter Appiahene's appointment continues to receive strong opposition. The latest is the National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Bono Region, where they said at a press conference that Dr. Appiahene has been a patron of TESCON at UNE, an IT director, and a communicator for the governing NPP in the region, and hence cannot be trusted to be an independent-minded person. Charles Akowa is the regional communications officer.
He's a political activist. We've been with him in Sunyane. He has been on radio programs with my reps on radio stations and other places. So it will be very difficult for us to accept him as an EC official, which he has demonstrated that he's biased towards the NPP, who has been a patron for more than 4 years, a communicator with the regional communication team. We have his videos. I don't think any fair-minded person will select such a referee.
Mr. Akowa further alleged that Dr. Appiahene represented the NPP at the EC in the Bono region during the 2020 elections, and they are unable to accept such a person at the EC.
He was at the EC 2020 representing the NPP as their IT person. Such a person who has been with my regional secretary arguing on figures and data, and you go and meet the same person representing the EC as an EC official. Do you think any political party beside the NPP can trust such a person to do the right thing? It will be very difficult to accept the man. We think even if they allow him to take care of just documentation, we suspect the guy can tamper with a document.
The NDC is appealing to the Council of State and other stakeholders to appeal to the President to revoke Dr. Appiahene's appointment immediately for a smooth collaboration with the EC.
The Regional Communication Office, on behalf of the NDC, will appeal to the Council of State to consider their earlier advice on the appointment of Dr. Peter Appiahene. The Regional Communication Office duly serves notice to the general public of the intention to serve petition and copies of this evidence to the National Peace Council, the Catholic Bishop Conference, the Council of State, the National Muslim Conference, and all the relevant bodies to appeal to the President to immediately revoke the appointment of Dr. Peter Appiahene in order to have a smooth collaboration with the Electoral Commission going into the 2024 election.
Dr. Peter Appiahene currently heads the Department of Computer Science and Informatics of the University of Energy and Natural Resources in Sunyane.
Okay, let's bring in our legal affairs correspondent, Joseph Agable, who's joining us via Zoom. Also joining us in this whole conversation will be a lawyer to help us unpack the legalities and the challenge ahead for the NDC MP. But Joe, let's start off with the details of why Nelson Appiahene is heading to the Supreme Court over this. What's his grounding, first of all?
First, he indicates to the court that he brings this action as a citizen of Ghana, who is enjoined by Article 2 and 130 of Ghana's Constitution, that in the event you believe that something has happened which is inconsistent with the Constitution, you bring the matter up to the Supreme Court to ask the Supreme Court to declare it as such. So that is the context in terms of the basis, the legal basis which he approaches the court to trigger his jurisdiction. On that, they give some factual basis for this particular narrative. And so they say that, yes, he's an individual who was appointed and has been sworn in as a member of the Electoral Commission. He goes on to say that the first defendant, i.e., Dr. Appiahene, is a known sympathizer and affiliate of the New Patriotic Party. He has on various occasions been heard defending and touting the achievements of the New Patriotic Party on several television and radio stations. He goes on to say that on one such occasion, admitted to being an NPP communicator on the Anopa Nimdie Edraso show, which airs on the Nimdie FM in Sunyani. On another occasion, he was also heard on BATV bragging about his new appointment as the MPIT director for the Bono Region in respect of the 2020 election. And so the legislator, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo, attaches evidence, videos, recordings, and radio recordings, audio recordings of these interviews and statements that he says captures Dr. Appiahene making these comments, them available to the court to say that, as far as they are concerned, the Supreme Court should interpret the Constitution and the relevant provisions which they cite here to make the point that he is not qualified to be a member of the Electoral Commission by virtue of the fact that it's an important organ of the state, one that supervises election, and it requires that the individuals who fill that particular position are seen to be persons who can be fair and are not partisan, and that Dr. Appiahene is not a fair person, is partisan because of his affiliation with the New Patriotic Party.
In terms of the reliefs being sought, what effect will that give, given that the court grants the demands of the MP?
The key relief has to do with their request for the Supreme Court to revoke the appointment of Dr. Appiahene by the President of the Republic of Ghana as a member of the Electoral Commission. In terms of other reliefs they are asking for, they are asking the courts to restrain Dr. Appiahene from acting as or holding himself out as a member of the Electoral Commission pending the determination of the suit. So that is even an interim measure that they are even asking for. They also ask for an order of perpetual injunction restraining Dr. Appiahene from acting as holding himself out as a member of the Electoral Commission. There are other declaratory reliefs that they are asking for. For instance, they are saying that the court should declare that upon a true and proper interpretation of the letter and spirit of Articles 23, 44.1, 45, 46, 284, and 296. And these are provisions that deals with the Electoral Commission, deals with administrative bodies being required to act fairly and reasonably, and the Electoral Commission as well says that on the basis of an interpretation of these provisions, a person is not qualified to be a member of the Electoral Commission if that person is a known sympathizer, a member or openly affiliates or identifies the registered political party. Another declaration is that a person who is a known sympathizer who openly affiliates the party will be biased or prejudiced in his constitutional duties as a member of the Electoral Commission. So that is by way of the declaratory reliefs that they are in the court to give.
Okay, grateful, Joseph Akablea, our legal affairs correspondent, giving us the latest on this. I want to bring in now lead fellow at the Center for Social Justice, lawyer Niyama Adi. Thank you for your time here on the Pulse. So you've seen the reliefs being sought by this NDC MP, obviously giving a further boost in the view of party members, the need for President Akufo-Addo to revoke the appointment of Dr. Peter Appiahene. But within the statutes, what's the provision in terms of what the requirement is for an individual who's been appointed to the Electoral Commission?
Okay, good. So, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to contribute. I think that the intention of Honorable Defamapo is well grounded in law, because who goes to court? Any aggrieved person can go to court, and therefore, if he finds that there are things that are being done which is contrary to things that would ensure the continuous peace of the country, and for that reason he decides to go to court, I think that is the right and proper place to go. And if you look at the duties of the Electoral Commission, Article 46, the second part of it, and I would like to read for your clarity, says that except as provided in this constitution or in any other law not consistent with this constitution in the performance of its functions, the Electoral Commission shall not be subject to the direction or control of any person or authority. 46, shall not be subject to the control of any person or authority. Here lies a gentleman who is known, and the evidence have been adduced, to a particular political party. Therefore, putting this person in the helm of affairs of the Electoral Commission means that he will be subject to the control and authority of the appointing officer. And that is not in doubt, particularly when he is known to be associated with that particular party. I mean, the law is also so clear in the common law, in the common reasoning of the law. It talks about what we call reasonability. Reasonability. To say that in appointing somebody, there must be reasonableness. So where this person is known to have been to be affiliated to a particular political party, where that party is going into an election, reasonability tells us that this person can be tilted. Okay? So reasonability shows that he shouldn't be the right and proper person to occupy that position. 2, we're also talking about foreseeability. In foreseeability, should there be any rancor, should there be any disagreements about the processes of the Electoral Commission, foreseeability tells us that anybody can reasonably say that because this commissioner is linked to this particular party, is going to do everything to their benefit, okay? And then the perception out there is very huge. Why should we do such a thing to ourselves when we know that our democracy is all we have? Well, when we know that we need to tread this cautiously and to hold our democracy in all esteem.
I get your point, but the jury is out there as to whether or not the new appointee will be objective in the discharge of his duty, which is sworn to, by the way. Besides that, there's the question about the law and ultimately where the power will lie. The power of appointment, as we know it, lies squarely within the remits of the president. He does the appointment, and as part of the requirements, I'm not sure there's any legal inhibition forcing the hands of the president to appoint someone who is politically neutral. Is there?
I mean, you rightly pointed it. Article 43(2) says that a member of the commission shall be appointed by the president under Article 70 of this constitution. And when you go to Article 70, it tells you that it does so with the advice or consent of the Council of State. Exactly. So yes, the president is the proper and the right person to appoint. But we are saying that when that person who is to be appointed is known to be associated with a particular political party, then there is the issue of reasonability, foreseeability, perception, and then the peace of the country to be maintained. That is why it does not serve the interest of anybody to put that person in that place when it has openly shown his association or affiliation to a particular political party. Don't forget that you cannot be a referee and a player in your own match. This person has shown he has worked for the party. So there is the perception that he's been placed in that position to further enhance the work that he has done for the party.
Even before the outcome of this ruling. Right. Even before, I get that point clearly, but even before the Supreme Court makes a determination on this case, what's your expectation from the appointee himself? Dr. Peter Appiahene has not broken his silence on these matters. A lot of people waiting on him. You feel he should speak, or perhaps?
Definitely he's the beneficiary of it. So, he's the beneficiary of it. And if you look at the S for the position that he's going to occupy, ranking to the position of the appeals court judge, definitely tells you that, you will say, oh, I've fought for my party, it's reward time, why should I shy away from the reward that is coming to me? So I would not expect him to say no. And he has not proven to hold that high moral standard that we've known of very few people around the world to say that I see a conflict of interest and that before this becomes a national issue, let me honorably resign. I mean, I don't see that. I don't see that. So he being quiet, you can interpret it directly and truthfully as being happy with what he's been rewarded to, because this is not coming out of a vacuum. He probably would have discussed it. He would have been told. He probably may have lobbied for it. Who knows? But I don't expect him to say no. There must be a very high moral standard, which the appointing officer should do. Or better still, the Council of State that advises the president in appointment should be able to advise him that, look, for the peace of our country, for the reasonability, the foreseeability, and then the perceptive reasons, let us put him aside. There are many other Ghanaians who are well qualified, independent in mind, have not shown any colors to occupy that position.
Okay, we need to go. We'll wait to see what the court will say about this. Niyama, the lead fellow at the Center for Social Justice.